So today I'm just going to take you through making this really weird looking guy here with some teeth. I'm trying to do a sculpt and paint at the same time with the teeth and then a few other techniques. So today I'm going to start sculpting with a cube. Create a cube. And what I want is I want to have actually a separate texture on each of these faces of the cube. So I'm going to UV map this. And I'm going to select all of them. Cubic mapping, apply. So now I've got 6 UV islands. Switch to the sculpting tab. This swaps windows here. It's got 2 screens. But now I want to have a texture on each of these, and I want them to be 2K by 2K. So I'm going to get my material view here. And firstly, I just want to show under the preferences here, under 40 publish, this is where you set your default texture of 2K by 2K. So every time I'm creating textures in here, it's using these settings here to create them. So I'm always creating a 2K TIFF file. So now I've got all these selected in here, and well, they don't need to be selected actually, they can be not selected. But I want to create a material with a texture on each of these UV islands. So I just come up here and go UDIM per UV island, and now I've got 6 textures, and each of them have the background, have a layer on them as well, and they're all 2K by 2K. I can show that by coming into the material editor here, and if I just bring up this, you'll see there that that's got a texture called 1006, 105, 4, 3, 2, 1. So these are all the UDIMs, and that's your UDIM number, and this is the color texture for this object, which is called cube. Okay, so now I've done that, I'm ready to start sculpting actually, so I can actually just come in here and start sculpting, subdividing, make sure I'm in model mode. And today I've kind of got this idea just to kind of do a teeth kind of model. Before we do that though, you should actually save. So I'm just going to save that. So I didn't show the workflow there for saving, but I've saved it as a cruncher and also saved all the textures. And now I'm just going to bring in a texture that I want to use. So to do that, I'm going to bring in my content view. I'm just going to dock it down the bottom down here. Got my content view here, and I had this texture that I used the other day. I found this here. If I just make sure I select my any brush here, double clicking on that to bring up the texture, and this is the texture I found on Pixabay. And I want to get these teeth in here. Let's see if I can. It's not going to be 3D modeled with the big cavity in here, but I'm just going to get the shape of this on the model. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to try and sculpt it straight on there, or paint it straight on there, and then kind of sculpt around the painting. I'm not sure if this will work or not, but we'll soon see. So with my up here, 40 publish, first I'm just going to try using the paintbrush and sculpt tool. And I'm going to just control click on here to bring in the texture. You can see there, I kind of need that to be a bit wider. So first I'm just going to drag out the sides of this model, and I'm going to do it symmetrically as well. So I just need to go back to the attributes here, and symmetrically turn on symmetry, and symmetry along the z-axis. So the blue line here is the z-axis, so I need to be symmetrical along the z-axis. And now I'm just going to pull this out, just so I've kind of got enough basic shape there. And switch back to the paintbrush and sculpt. Put this about there. And I'm going to see what this looks like when I start painting this on here. Oh, I've got symmetry on. I don't actually want symmetry for this. I want to be asymmetrical. So let's just undo the symmetry there. I'll paint on this. Those are the teeth that I want there. Now I've got a sculpt and paintbrush here, so this is actually sculpting as well as painting, which is why I'm rubbing over this a little bit more to try and bring out some of this so I can see what it looks like. Maybe we can take that away later. I can't switch views because then it will change the position of this stamp here, which is would be a nice feature to have, actually, locking a stamp to the view. But I can see here that it's kind of pulling it away. This brush acts like the pull brush. So I've basically got a pull brush with the texture on it. Let's see what this looks like in a second. Anything I haven't done well there, I think I can sculpt in. So that's enough there. So I'm going to hide the mask, rotate it. You see there it's pulled it out, but it hasn't done a great job in some places, but that's where we want to go and just touch it up now. So I'm just going to grab the smooth brush, and I'm going to just press W to see the wireframe. So there's the wireframe there. So I want more subdivisions now. Subdivide that up, subdivide that up. Maybe one more time. That's pretty high. I think I can work at a lower level for now, so I'll go down one. That's good enough. So I just tap W with this selected to hide and show the wireframe. And now I want to come in and smooth this out. And I'm obviously going to have to come in and just fix up some of these textures here as well. Again, I'm not working in symmetry mode here. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to grab the pull brush. And what I will do now is I'm just going to remove this material so that I can actually see what I'm working on just as far as sculpting goes. So for now, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to add a new material, and then I'm going to go and just drag this onto my objects. I'm just going to drag that material onto the end here. And that will just replace all of these just for rendering. And here, so now I can work with that blank, but we've still got all our other materials there when we need them. So I want to come in here and I want to really dig in around some of these areas here. So I know that's where the gaps are. Just using the pull brush here with control held down. Might be best if actually I bring that back now just to... I need to decrease and increase this to get it back. I think I'll just stay working in here actually. Just dig in, dig in, dig in. And I want these gaps in here to kind of be black as well, so I might actually just paint those in black manually later on. And I want these bones to be come out, so now I'm just going to try and bring out some of these. This is kind of backwards sculpting, where you're kind of doing texture first. It's probably not a great workflow, but I just wanted to see how it would work with these teeth here. And there's actually fine detail down here that I kind of wanna bring in. You probably can't see it that well. What I'll try and do is I'll bring back in that texture. Control click on there. There's this detail down the bottom here. If I put the paintbrush and sculpt again on there, just bring that transparency. Control click, I changed my brush, so I need to bring that back in again. I need to make it visible. So there's these down here. Just want to see if I can bring in some of that detail. Just of these bits here. Because I'm on a higher level for the sculpt here. I'm not worrying about really what I'm doing. Just want this kind of bony look here. And at the higher level, it'll bring in some of that detail, and I want to use the amplify tool to try and see if I can bring out some of this detail. It's not doing a very good job. So I'm going to leave that there anyway, as that is there. But I'll come in and fix these up later with texturing. And I'm going to add that material back on here. And I'm just going to pretend as if that texture is not even there. So I am working asymmetrically here. Go to the amplify. And I'm just going to see how that works along here. Bring in this, what I was talking about before, bring in some of these bumps, but I had the pressure set too high. So I need that pressure just down a bit, so I got more adjustment with the Wacom. Yeah, bring in some of those bumps. Just a bit of that. The amplifier is going to push where it's pushing and pull where it's pushed in or pulled in. You can also use this along these teeth here to bring them out. And that will bring them out as well. Probably should use this brush instead of the pull tool before. So now I don't want to really touch these teeth, so I'm just going to mask them out. I'm just going to come in here, and I'm just going to mask in this area here, so I don't really touch it too much. And now I'm going to play around with the rest of the model. And I might switch to my wax mode here, my wax brush, and just single click on there. And to set up my wax tool, I come over to symmetry stamp and close it. Turn off, that can stay on. Turn off, fall off. Turn on, follow. And now you can see how I'm not going to touch any of that in there. But I want some gross deformation here first. I want to kind of bring this up a bit. I think having it non-symmetrical is going to make this a lot more interesting. It's going to be a bit of a weird looking thing. Can also use the Inflate brush on here. Might be a better tool to pull out some of these areas. Let's bring this up. Maybe what I'll do is I'll bring that forward. Bring all this forward, perhaps. The Inflate tool can destroy the surface a bit. So I might switch back to the grab tool. See, it needs some smoothing down there. Because the Inflate tool will push things out along its normal. So if you've got some sculpting in there, then it'll make overlapping points. Smooth that out, but you can always get rid of them by smoothing. And bring these bits forward. Have this mouth sunken in, and then pull these bits out and forward a bit. It's kind of a creature where his mouth is sunk in a little bit. Might make him a bit hard to eat. Might struggle to actually eat his food a little bit. And he's a bit deformed here. Just try to make this round, a little bit round in the back there. More like a head with a brain in there. But I want that to be up a little bit higher. And now I might just, there you go, bit of thickness, a little bit of thickness just over here. In the jaw there. Now I'm going to switch back to that wax brush, and I'm just going to try and build something in here. I'll increase my detail now. Tap W just to see what it looks like. We've got it's dense enough to do everything that I need to do at this level. A little bit slow at that level. So I want to have, I guess, I'll do some sunken eyes. Maybe the pull brush, just to for some reason my control key doesn't want to invert a lot of the time. My fault, totally my fault there. I've got the stencil still on. You've probably all been laughing at me for a very long time now. I need to turn off that stencil. And that's my problem. So that was a very silly mistake of mine there. Dig in some cavities, random. And I might just do a little weird circle in there. Bring some kind of eye shape maybe. This is going to be sufficiently weird as always with these sculpts that I do. And then the knife tool, the wax tool. I'm just going to pause it for a little bit so that I can just finish off some of the stuff. Oh, actually, I'll keep going. I won't go for too much longer. I'll just kind of leave this being really weird. And I might see if I can get into texturing. This is not one of my best models, obviously. It's a bit weird. Anyway, I've kind of lost my idea of what I was doing here now. Maybe I can pull in some ear shape here. Of course, I'm doing both sides of the model, so it's taking time to get both sides done. This is horrible. This is a really horrible sculpt. Maybe I'll use the pinch brush here just to... Anyway, that's enough for now. This is not going to look great, but we shall see how it goes. So, now I'm going to remove that material there. And the sculpting doesn't update, so you just need to go down a level and then increase it up again. And then you'll see that level. And we can clear our mask as well, because we don't need that. And now I just want to come in and I want to smooth in some of these areas there, because obviously that's gotten really distorted because of the way I stretch that out. You'll see these seams here, but you don't need to worry about those seams because they will go when I'm finished with the texturing side of things. So I might make this, smooth that out. Just get rid of some of these artifacts that were around that area. Okay, so now I'm just going to come on and start texturing this. I'm going to decrease this level down and texture it at a lower level to make it a bit faster. So I come into the stencils here. And I'll use my skin texture. So let's use the side of this model here. I need the paintbrush selected, obviously. And then control click on here to bring it up. And we'll resize it. And I might do something really hideous here and actually use the model's ear. See if I can texture that onto this ear itself. Again, I can't use symmetry here because the model is totally asymmetric, but we'll just see how this goes anyway. And now I want the skin texture just for the rest of it. So we'll use the side of the cheek down here to get some of that texture in. And pull that pressure back up again because I've turned it down before. I'm not going to worry about the back because I'm not going to render the back of this model. So this brush follows the surface. So you notice there when I was painting down this side here, it goes into the cavity and follows the surface of the brush. It's not screen space. It's not going to go over everything. It's going to go where this dab, you can see this dab's going down in there, and that's where it's going to actually paint. It's going to paint into that on the surface itself. No, they've got actually some bone up here, so I might just retain some of that. I think we can safely go over all of this. If I make my brush bigger, it's going to go in and fill in all these gaps, even inside there. Even though you can't see where it's going, it's going to be filling in all the gaps inside there. I'll do the same thing over here. We just layer on all over the ear there. And reduce it down so I can get this detail in here a lot finer. I would say this is probably my worst sculpt, but we shall see where it ends up. Now I want to try and fix up some of these teeth here, so let's bring back that tooth model. Zoom right in here, and then bring up that texture with its transparency down. I just want that. I might just use that black part of it. Just paint that into. We want that teeth actually. Use that tooth color there. It is the wrong part of the tooth. So we use the right part. It's not going to look perfect, but it's going to look better than it did. Going Q to hide and show there. And I might just leave that there for now. I'll just smooth out some of these painting bits, holding down shift with the paintbrush just to smooth out the painting a little bit. Makes it a little bit blur, it's like a Gaussian blur. Around these bits. Bit of a blur. Making it look a little bit better. But this is not great. This is not a great sculpt. This is not a great paint. I've taken too much time as well. But to finish with, I want to do some weird stuff, as I always do. So, even more weirder. So, I'm going to add some eyes in here. Rotate that back around. This is going to look terrible. Slightly rotated. Why don't I just bring that on just like that? Let's put the eyelashes on there as well. It's a bit too much. Make this brush smaller so I can really get in there. And I'll turn the pressure down as well so I got more control over it. So even though it's going to look terrible, I don't want it to look really terrible. And then we want to flip that. So we get that stencil and we flip it. Move it across. And I'll rotate it around the other way a little bit. Even though the eye socket's not exactly set up the same, I'm not going to worry about it. Just going to put it in. And then I'll bring on the nose as well. So let me find the nose picture. Flip that around, upside down. Bring that up. Scale it. I'll zoom in on my model actually. And then bring that back up again. We'll just do one at a time. Needs to be a bit lower. Actually, I might do what I did with another model and just flip that on the side. And then I'll pull this one down. Scale it up a bit. And use that to get some shadow in there. And I'll flip it over. And the y-axis. We'll do the same there. Needs to be a little bit bigger. And about there. And I'm not being very accurate here at all, as you can see. Just trying to get some dark spots in there. It's probably good enough. And then I might as well put some lips on this guy, or girl. Scale it around. I just want the texture, just to add a little bit coming in here. Just enough to be sufficiently creepy. Spin it around. Bring it over here. Make it bigger. Just to get that texture in there. Let's make that a big lip. I use the top lip again. Alright. Now I think I did one ear, but I didn't do the other. But I'm not going to worry, I'm going to render it from this view anyway. Let's give it eyebrows as well. I feel like having some eyebrows on here. I've got that flipped in the Y. I can spin that around. Something like that. And we will do the same on the other side with the other eye. Okay. And now I also want to put some hair on this because I've been watching a little tutorial, so I'm going to try and put some hair on. But before I do any of that, make sure you save it. File, save. Always save. Save, save, save. And now I'm going to bring up the hair. So I'm going to come into Simulate. Add hair. But I want to define the hair to be at the top of this object. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my sculpt object. I'm going to bring it all the way down. Decrease these levels. Just see where it goes. So I actually want it to be just on this part of the model. So really I want a texture. I was thinking about putting it just on the top plane here, but you got the eyes you see are on the top of this cube here, on this material on the top. And I can't just put the hair straight on, so I'm going to have a patch on there. So let me bring that back up again. I don't need to be at the top level. Just a rough level, really. Now the issue is that you can't actually add hair to a sculpt object while it's live. So to do this, I'm going to actually have to bring that back up to the top. I'm going to delete that hair object because I don't need that there. And I'm going to go into the menu there, double click on the tag, create a polygon copy. So it's going to create a polygon copy of this object at that same level. And we have our copy, and I can move it out. And I'll just hide that one. First I'll decrease its subdivision level actually, so it doesn't take up as much memory. And then I'll just hide it in the viewport. So now I'm working with this one here. And what I want is I want to have another material up the top here that's going to specify where the hair is going to go. Or I think you can do it with polygon selections as well. Anyway, let's have a go. Let's just put some hair on this thing. Okay, so that took a long time because it's a very dense model. So I need to change this. Let's just put it down to 1. Let's do 100 guides and see what happens. Okay, so what I did there wrong was I should have made a selection first. So I'm going to delete that. What I'll do is come in here and I'm just going to get a selection of polygons on here. And I'm going to do that using the select tool actually. It's grayed out there. There we go. And I'm going to select some hair at the top. I believe with that selected, I can come up here and I can go to simulate. Oh, sorry. Here, add here. There we go. And now I want 1000. And now we will click play just to get that down. Play. Anyway, I need that out of the render as well. And so I need to hit play on here. So I'm actually going to switch over to the standard editor so that I have this here. And just click play. Click render. And there's some crazy looking hair on my silly looking model. And I'm just going to see what that looks like in Octane. Might make this here longer at the back, but for now, I might just make it a little bit longer and then just leave it as it is because I've gone way over time on this. So let me just close that. Make the hair 2000. Come up to here. Material. And I don't want to use the color or specular on here. But I do want to add some frizz, some scale. Frizz can be set to a lower number. Scale. Maybe I'll add a noise texture to it. And I'll play that. I need to change the length of the actual hair. And I want to do a render of that in Octane. Let's go back to 100. And since I'm not sure how to stop that from intersecting, I'm just going to leave that like that. And that's probably good enough for now. So let's go up to the material view. And I want to bleed out all those textures because we see we've got these seams coming along here and I want to get rid of those. So I have this selected. And all I need to do, let me get out of edge mode there, is come up and just go bleed all. Here you can see the individual textures that we've painted there. None on the bottom or the back or wherever that is. I'm not sure why they're not showing through on here. Oh, it's because I've got a selection there. Oh, the UVs, it's showing the UVs. So the UVs are so dense that you can't see anything. So we just turn off the UVs and now you're able to see all your textures. So now I just want to make sure I bleed out all these. Now I'm just going to bleed out basically a little bit, tiny bit on the edges here. So let's go bleed all. It's going to go through and bleed out every single layer so that it will get rid of all the seams. And you can see there in the viewport the seams are already gone. So now if I do a rendering in Octane Viewer, it's not going to have any seams either. That is not finished yet because I want to do my HDR image maps. So let's come up to the Octane Live Viewer. And I'll turn that on. And now I also want to add a TextCon tag to here. I want to bring up the material, the content view. This just makes it look a whole lot better. And on here, I need to add a HDR environment map. Put the TextCon tag on that. Actually, it doesn't need to be on the object. It needs to be on the sky. With the TextCon tag selected, with the Octane material, go into here. Drag the file name onto the TextCon tag. And then from here, we can put our creepy guy in a setting that best suits him. Maybe he's there. Maybe he's overlooking the world. I think perhaps there is the best one. And I might not actually use this render here because I haven't set up the colors properly, but I actually quite like just the live view preview there. So I might just say that is my image and leave it as that. Okay, thank you.